Om yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedanscha prahinoti tasmai tam hadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshur vai sharanamaham prapadye. We are going to go to chapter 11, which has an important address which the teacher is giving students. It's like a convocatory address. Please go to the mantra Veda Manuchacharyo Tevasina Manushasi. See, these are the duties enjoined before you enter into Brahma Vidya. So that's why it's very important to go through this. Many times you see what happens is the nature of the human mind is to keep thinking of the goal. That's very good. You must have a clear idea of the goal, no doubt. But the means we adopt is very important because I told you it's a first person research. The transformation of your mind and energies is vital to this knowledge. And that is why all these duties of everyday life, you see how the instructions are going. This is a teaching being given by the teacher, by the guru to his students who have finished learning the Vedas. Now, how should you use this knowledge? He's saying, and how you must aim at the highest using this knowledge. Aim to live the highest kind of life. Live in Brahman. But first fulfill these duties. So that's why you see we do it at the starting of Taittiriya Upanishad. You must have the foundation complete, isn't it? See, we are trying to raise a hall. If there's no foundation, how will you raise a hall? How will you raise a huge building? So human life also it's like that. Before you aim at Brahma Vidya, you must satisfy all this. That's the instruction. So you will chant with me, isn't it? We will go paragraph by paragraph. Okay? One paragraph, then the meaning, then we chant the next paragraph, then the meaning. That's how we'll go. Vedamanuchacharyonte vasinam manushasti. Come on. Vedamanuchacharyonte vasinam manushasti. Satyam vada.
Satyam vada.
Dharmam chara.
Dharmam chara.
Swadhyayan ma pramadaha.
Swadhyaya pramadaha.
Acharyaya priyam dhanamahritya prajatantum ma vyavachhetsihi. Acharyaya priyam dhanamahritya prajatantum ma vyavachhetsihi. Satyana pramaditavyam.
Satyana pramaditavyam.
Dharmana pramaditavyam.
Dharmana pramaditavyam.
Kushalana pramaditavyam.
Kushalana pramaditavyam.
Bhutyaina pramaditavyam.
Bhutena pramaditavyam.
Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam.
Swadhyaya pravachanayam pramaditavyam.
So you see, this is the post-learning instruction given to students. What does he say? Having taught the Vedas, the preceptor imparts this post-instruction to the students. Vedam anuchacharyonte ante vasinam anushasti. What you should do now. So what should you do? First he says, Satyam vada. Always cling to the truth. See, because otherwise, your mind will not intuit the ultimate truth. So speak the truth always, no matter what. Please remember this. Some of the people in the higher learning institutes, I found they are rishi-like. They are like rishis. Now you may say in the modern world, speaking the truth is so difficult. No. They have reached there because they are like that. Please remember this. You become a human being of credibility only when you speak the truth. In any context, under any circumstance. So Satyam Vada. Dharmam chara. At all cost, practice righteousness. Be honest, be faithful, be committed. Any kind of slang when it comes to all this will cost you. You know what happens? Your reliability coefficient goes down if you don't do this. If in every act you are not honest, you say something, you mean something else, and you do something else, nobody will believe you. You can't be a leader that way. So only when the reliability coefficient is very high, you are chosen to be a leader, isn't it? In any project of life. So, dharmam chara. Here, dharma means righteous conduct. Swadhyayan ma pramadaha. Don't ignore or neglect studies. Swadhyaya. Don't be inadvertent about learning. Even today, modern successful people give this advice that the most successful, if you see, they have, why, where are you applying your mind that contributes to your success? Anywhere. So they are people who regularly read, who are given to learning. You may be doing anything, but where do you occupy your spare hours? Where do you apply your mind? So learning is part of life. Education does not stop with your degrees, isn't it? Sri Ramakrishna used to say, what would he say? Yavat bachi tavat shikhi. As long as I live, I learn. There's no end to learning. So application of mind, I told you, is tapasya. Isn't it? So no matter what you're doing, where should your mind be? It should be in all this. So he's saying, don't ignore learning. Swadhyayan ma pramadaha. You will become silly and stupid, if you let go of learning. Isn't it? The awareness will go down. Then you will remain engaged with silly thought. You can see people like that around you. They don't raise their mind at all. So you see, silly comments and silly arguments, you'll be only engaged in that. It's a sheer loss of energy and your intelligence will go down. So if you ignore learning, it is at your own cost. Please understand. Even to remain updated about your particular branch of knowledge, you should keep to learning, isn't it? Whether you're a doctor, engineer, whatever you're doing, knowledge is changing every day, every hour when it comes to IT. So you must keep to it, otherwise you lose, that's all. Don't think people have special ability and that's why they are doing well in their particular field. They have been at it. Yes, they may have a superior form of intelligence, no doubt, but they have worked on it. That's why they have the superior intelligence. So if you ignore learning, you lose your life, that's all. Acharyaya priyam dhanamahritya prajatantum ma vyavachetsi. See, this is a instruction being given to students who are now going to enter the householder's life, isn't it? They are going to enter the grihasthashram because it's a convocatory address. They have finished their education. So the instruction is, you do whatever is required for the teacher, your duty towards the teacher. In those days, the gurukuls were patronized by whom? By the wealthy and by the kings. Education was free. So the instruction is, you students also, after you complete, do your duty to your teacher. Whatever you have to give him in terms of wealth and all that, you give him. And then you make sure that you do not cut the line of your progeny, which means go and enter the grihastha ashram. Lead a complete life. Why are they giving this form of instruction? You see, because this strange middlemen are there, they don't want either, they don't have a spiritual goal, nor are they wanting a settled life. Just they want a nomadic life and no committed relationships. So today's society is making it easy for all these types. Don't enter into that. That's the instruction. Lead a committed life. And whatever relationships you make must be committed. That is why the instruction is, do not cut off the line of progeny. Lineage and this kula matters so much for the transmission of sanskars. That is why the insistence. You can't play with it. You can't experiment with that. Was not permitted in our culture actually. So take care of all these things. This is what he's saying. Then Satyarna Pramaditavyam. There should be no deviation from truth, no inadvertence about truth. Dharmana Pramaditavyam. No inadvertence about righteous conduct, righteous activity. Be committed to perform your duties. See, if you lead a life like this, what happens? Your mind will always remain fresh like a lotus, happy. Because you have done your duties. You're free in mind. Otherwise, all sorts of complexities will reign. And you obviously can't do sadhana with a mind like that. So when you perform your duties, you're clear within yourself. Isn't it? See, today's young people ask this question, why should I speak the truth? Why should I not do something if it gives me pleasure? For the simple reason, your own mind will not support you if you do that. Then obviously you can't lead any good quality of life if you have a mind like that. When your own mind is guilty, when your own mind is sad, how can you do sadhana? Tell me. So for your own sake, follow this. That's the instruction. So dharmana pramaditavyam. Any decision you make, always think about this. Does it bring about the good of others? Then it's a valid decision. It's a good decision. So we had this core concepts of, Shreyas and Preyas. It again comes from the Upanishad. You must see if your action is Shreyaskar, then it's a good action. And if it's only Preyaskar, which means it just satisfies me for the present, that also momentarily, short-term pleasure, then it's not a worthy decision. It's not a good decision. So take charge of these few things he's telling them. See what a nice convocatory address it is. Many universities are using this actually in India. Then he says, Kushalana Pramaditavyam. Just because you want to be very spiritual, don't ignore your Kushal Mangal, your everyday welfare, supporting your family, supporting those who are dependent on you. Your welfare, do not ignore that. Then Bhutyayana Pramaditavyam. Bhutya is material welfare. Don't ignore that. Because Thakur used to say, on an empty stomach there can be no religion. If every day and night you have to bother only about survival needs, how will you conquer the ego? How will you aim at self-knowledge? So first take care of these things. Only people who have no survival needs, who have no needs for the ego, who have nothing to build on the ego, can search for the self. Please remember, the very first step of spiritual life is stopping the struggle for the existence of the ego. Because you are going to ask, who am I? If you already are somebody and building that, how will you put this question? Are you getting my point? So you're beyond ego needs, then only spiritual life begins. Otherwise, you're constantly bargaining for the ego. Please see, you won't have self-knowledge. So when you are free of all needs, then inquiry begins. As long as I have physical needs, physiological needs, emotional needs, ego needs, I'm only a refined beggar. Trading for a little love, little attention, nothing more than that. I can't aim at Brahma Vidya, definitely. Am I right? Making sense? So first is, that's why Kushalana Pramaditavyam, Bhutyayana Pramaditavyam. Take care of all this. You remember Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, where does he put self-actualization at the apex? First, all this physical needs, physiological needs, emotional needs, ego needs, then self-actualization. And self-realization is beyond self-actualization. It's not just about actualizing your potential, it is about actualizing your highest potential. So without this, it will not work. Most people are praying to God for these things only, isn't it? See, when you think of God as full of kindness, it's because you are wanting kindness in your life. Even your conception of God will depend on your needs. You want a powerful God, you want power. You want things to work for you. So you're worshipping a powerful God. Only when you have no need, you will dare to see God as He is. You will dare to find Brahman, the impersonal basis of your existence itself. So as long as the mind is hankering for this and that, this knowledge is not possible. They are telling you this. See, it's a huge psychological truth. Please understand it. Many people, they say they want a spiritual life. You just live one day with them. You will see it's not that. If you want a spiritual life, it means you have no needs, no compulsions within you for this or that. You understand the word compulsiveness, isn't it? Compulsions. That is absent. Fresh mind, only wanting knowledge for its own sake. Like Nachiketa. You remember Katha Upanishad? Because he has come to the understanding, all these other things, what do? Sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejaha. They remove my vitality. So I don't want them. They may entertain me temporarily, but finally they are only exploiting my vitality, my vital energy. I don't want them. Unless this level of vairagya comes, this knowledge is difficult. So he is giving the instruction, you first satisfy all this. Today you are students, tomorrow you will be householders. You must see that all this works for you. So bhutyaina pramaditavya. Then swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. What does this mean? You know swadhyay and you know what is pravachan. Learning and teaching should not be ignored. You must transmit what you have learned. I told you it is very important. See, this is one of the laws of your own existence, that you are going to exchange what you receive with others. You are going to share. You are like a semi-permeable membrane. You grab everything from outside and you pass it on. You take in food, see that food reaches others also. You take in knowledge, see that knowledge goes to others also. You can't accumulate anything in your system. If you try to hold, it will be snatched away from you. This is the way of life. So be a good semi-permeable membrane. That's all you have to be. You must permit the flow of everything through you. Don't sit and accumulate. Because your ego will give you that advice, I will bloat up if I accumulate. I will become bigger. You won't. The more you give, the bigger you become. This is the law of life. So whatever you have, give it. In whatever measure possible. See, this is the law of yajna primarily. It's part of Vedic culture, Yajna itself means I give, I offer. The oblation was symbolic of that. Then Deva Pitrus, go to the next page. Deva Pitru Karyabhyam na pramaditavyam Matrudevo Bhava,
Matrudevo Bhava,
Pitrudevo Bhava,
Pitrudevo Bhava,
Acharya Devo Bhava,
Acharya Devo Bhava,
Atithi Devo Bhava,
Atithi Devo Bhava,
Yanyanavadyani Karmani,
Yanyanavadyani Karmani,
Tani Sevitavyani,
Tani Sevitavyani,
No Itarani,
No Itarani,
Yanyasmakagam Sucharitani,
Yanyasmakagam
Sucharitani, Tani Toyopasyani.
Tani Tayopasyani.
Now what is the further instruction? Deva Pitru Karyabhyam na Pramaditavyam. Never neglect your duties towards the gods and the mains. Who are the mains? Your ancestors in the Pitrulok. So you see, whatever you are today, it is due to them that your body is the way it is. Your mind is the way it is. To a great extent. Today, even genetics will tell you that, isn't it? The genetic code. It's an imprint of... That is why this Kula Dharma and all was so important. You know? Many things are imprinted on your genes and just unfold in your life. You didn't consciously do them. And who brought your genetic code to you?
Ancestors.
So pay respect to them. One who is proud of his ancestry or lineage will become great. If you're not proud of it, you will not become great. Because it's a psychological law. I come from good stock. So that is why Deva and Pitru Karyabhyam na Pramaditavyam. Pay full respect to the gods and the mains. And don't neglect your duties towards them. What are your duties towards gods?
The offerings, righteousness, living the values, being happy.
Yes. See, on the physical plane, it may be offerings, what you will offer in terms of worship, puja, whatever. But mentally, to value their traits and to imbibe their traits, to become godly in nature, that is to respect them. Higher values. And mains. For mains also, you see, for your ancestors, there was always a form of offering worship, isn't it? Tarpan was there. And there were so many rituals actually performed. So it's a way of showing your respect for the ancestors and worshipping them. Because they have played a huge role in the making of your body, mind and ego. And you're functioning through them. Just like how anybody built your house, you will be grateful to that person, isn't it? Like that, the ones who built your body, be grateful to them. Then, Matru Devo Bhava. Yes? Because that is the fact. Your mother is your visible God. Pitru Devo Bhava. Your father is your visible God. Acharya Devo Bhava. The teacher is the visible God. Atithi Devo Bhava. The guest also is the visible God. Pratyaksha Devata, what we say. May it be like this always in your life. That's the instruction. See, these are core Indian values. You must never forget them. Wherever you are, let this be the understanding. This is so very important in modern societies also, isn't it? Where there's a tendency to see everybody as the same. Yes? But this form of, this kind of an attitude will bring a very, very respectful, pious feeling into your mind. That is why all this is to be practiced. Even for the Acharya, unless you are very respectful before your teacher, you cannot get that knowledge. Shraddhavan labhate jnana. Because it's an attitude of mind, please see. The mind should be humble to receive. If it's overfull, it can't receive. Isn't it? That's why all these practices. Then, yanyana vadyani karmani tani sevitavyani no itarani. The works that are not blameworthy are to be resorted to, which means do good works. Resort to works which bring benefit to others and not the other types of works which are blameworthy. Those actions of ours that are commendable are to be followed by you. The teacher is telling the students. That which is commendable in us is to be followed by you and not others. See, many times in a Gurukul, when the students stay with the teacher, some things in the teacher they may not like. So the teacher is giving this instruction also. Whatever is commendable in us is to be followed by you. Then the next paragraph we go to, the third one. No itarani ye ke chasmat shreyagamso brahmanaha shreyagamso brahmanaha tesham tvayasanena prashvasitavyam Shraddhaya deyam Ashraddhaya adeyam Shriya deyam Priya deyam Bhiya deyam Samvida deyam Atha yadi te karma vichikitsava Vritta vichikitsava syat. So, what is he trying to say here? You should, by offering seeds, remove the fatigue of those Brahmins who are more praiseworthy amongst us. Which means, give people their proper respect. Understand the worth of things and give people the respect they deserve. Then how should you give? Anything you want to offer, how it should be done? See, Shraddhaya deyam, give it with Shraddha. You know what is Shraddha? Deep faith and respect. Astikya buddhi, positive state of mind. Ashraddhaya adeyam. If you don't have Shraddha, don't give. Don't give with ashraddha. It won't work then. The fruit of that action will not come. Ashraddhaya adeyam. Then Shriya deyam. Do it with modesty. Offer with modesty. With humility. Don't stand on a higher pedestal and throw something at someone. Offer with modesty. Then bhiya deyam. Offer with awe. If that element is there, your action gets another value. Bhiya deyam, samvida deyam. Offer with knowledge and with affection in a friendly way. Atha yadi te karma vichikitsava vritta vichikitsava syat. Then should you have any doubt with regard to duties or customs, you should behave in those matters just as the Brahmanas do, who may happen to be there and who are able deliberators, who are adepts in duties and customs, who are not directed by others, who are not cruel and who are desirous of merit. So imitate the noble. That's the instruction. See, we are all born imitators. Whom should you imitate? You should imitate the dharmatmas. The people who are truly noble in spirit, in action, who are givers to society. They alone are fit to be role models. Please understand this. Otherwise, we'll create a topsy-turvy society. If you are constantly imitating those who are just acting very noble, it won't work. How do you recognize a noble person? In every situation of life, he behaves nobly. He has very high ideals. His life is pure. And he is very committed in what he does. His behavior is kindly, that is why. And he is dutiful. He goes out in service of others. So these qualities should be there. Otherwise, you will imbibe the qualities of those whom you will imitate. They will become part of you. So that's why finding proper role models for our young people is very important. As parents, you can do this very well, Because somebody you will imitate. That's the nature of human mind. You will want to imitate somebody. So imitate noble people and you will become noble. That's the instruction they are giving. Isn't it interesting? See, these are some of the psychological facts of life, practical instructions they are giving us. Follow the right people, imitate the noble. Because the students are now parting from his ashram, he's giving all these instructions. Then, ye tatra brahmana sammarshinaha yukta ayuktaha aluksha dharma kamasyuhu yatha te tatra varteran tatha tatra vartethaha athabhyakhyateषु ye tatra brahmana sammarषिणः yukta ayuktaः aluksha dharma kamasyuh yatha te teshu varteran tatha teshu vartethaha esha adeshah esha upadeshah esha vedopanishad etadanuशासनम् evamupasitavyam evamuच्चैतदुपास्यम् iti ekadasho anuvakah. See, what more does he say? You must follow those brahmanas who are adepts in their duties and customs and not directed by others, and who are not cruel and desirous of merit, the noble and good people. Then, as for the accused people, you should behave with regard to them just as the brahmanas do, who may happen to be there and who are able deliberators, who are adepts in those duties and who are not directed by others and not cruel and desirous of merit. Which means even when it comes to troublemakers, behave as those noble people will behave. Behave like that. How will you, see, this is a common question, with today's youngsters. How do we deal with toxic people? People who are over-jealous of you and trying to damage your whatever you're doing. How do you deal with such people? So the instruction being given is, follow the noble. They will just be indifferent to this type, so as to remain unaffected. Because no matter what you do, there are people who will pursue you negatively. It can happen. Not that it will happen, it can happen. So take care. If you retaliate, you injure yourself. A noble person will not retaliate negatively, but he will remain indifferent, at least in that particular context. And you must increase so much energy within you that nobody can harm you. You know, it's called a kavach. By the power of spiritual practice, your energy will function at such a level, nobody can harm you. Nothing negative can come close to you. See, you do Hanuman Chalisa and all that, isn't it, when you feel any negative energy? Why are you doing that? Your own vital energy should get charged up and give you the power to wave away any negative energy. This is something like that. So that's why you see, if our body is very healthy, no unhealthy germs will enter. There are germs all around us, isn't it? There are so many microbes, so many viruses, bacteria around us. If I have enough immunity, I won't be affected by anything. So I must work on my energies. This is very important. Or especially all you youngsters in the workplace tomorrow, you will face all kinds of characters, I'm telling you. This is the way of life. The good and the bad will be there. Now, instead of labeling people and retaliating and going into negativity and doing all that, increase your energy. Make it such that they won't come close to you. That's all. So that's why he's saying, follow the way they have followed. And then he says, this is the injunction. Esha adeshaha, esha upadeshaha. This is the instruction and injunction. This is the secret of the Vedas. That without, first regulating your life through all these disciplines and duties, you cannot move forward. Esha Vedopanishad. Esha Vedopanishad. Etad Anushasanam. This is to be done. This is the divine behest. And all this is to be done thus. All this is to be done thus. Evam upasitavyam. You have to follow this. Keep the right role models in your life. Very important. See, he's ending with all this. These are the instructions being given to students, remember, before they start their new life. And what happens as a result of all this? You will stay on the dharmic path. You will not waver from there. And the fruit of this is your own mind will remain calm, composed, free of guilt, free of fear, absolutely without negativity. Otherwise, a single situation can mess you up, isn't it? Somebody's one bad word can mess you up, can mess up with your mind. So all this, you get derailed when you do that. So you must keep your composure no matter what is happening. See, the entire thing is built in such a way you remain balanced and harmonious within yourself all the time. This sattva is required for higher spiritual practice. I'm telling you, without that it won't work. If at every word you are reacting and all kinds of influences are falling on you and you are under them, you can't adopt any kind of a spiritual practice consistently. You won't be able to do it. Isn't it? So how to keep the mind steady through these disciplines? So that is why this is chanted very often, even in educational institutions, universities, because this is primary to a good life. Now next we are going to enter, let me see how much time we have. 20 more minutes? Yes. So we are going to enter the Brahma Vidya of the Taittiriya Upanishad, where they are going to tell us the nature of the ultimate reality and how to attain it. It's very interesting actually. So there you have to go to part 2, chapter 1, where you have this particular, please chant, Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Very good, all of you know it. So you see the prayer here is Sahanam Avatu. May he protect us both. May Brahman protect us together. May he nourish us, both of us together, the teacher and the student. May we both acquire strength together. Let our study be fruitful and brilliant. May we not cavil at each other. Which means if you doubt or find a fault, you will lose that much knowledge. That's why they are putting that. Let our study be fruitful. Om, peace, peace, peace. Now we go to this very important aspect of Taittiriya Upanishad. Now we are actually going to enter how they are describing the ultimate nature of existence and what is Brahman, what is its definition according to the Upanishad, and how to attain it. This entire thing they will now be discussing. After giving us all these preliminary instructions, we are going to enter the actual substance of this Upanishad. See, they begin like this. Om Brahmavid Apnoti Param. Om Brahmavid Apnoti Param. You understand the Sanskrit, don't you? The Brahmavid attains the highest. The knower of Brahman attains the highest. Tad Esha Abhyukta.
Tad Esha Abhyukta.
Now this will be explained. This will be dwelt upon. How the Brahmavid, the knower of Brahman, attains to the highest. Why is that considered the highest aim of human life? And what does highest mean? Why is that called the consummation of all tapasya, of all spiritual practice? And why is that the goal of human life? Because then by definition, what is Brahman? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma.
Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma.
This is the definition of Brahman. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahman is Satya, truth, Jnana, knowledge, and Ananta, eternal. What exactly is Anant?
Infinite. No adi, no end.
Infinite,
Infinite.
endless,
Endless, no beginning.
and no limitless. So we will now dwell on this very important part of Taittiriya Upanishad. See, definition of Brahman. How they are defining Brahman. I am constantly calling it the very nature of existential reality, the nature of your existence, of the nature of pure consciousness. We are using these words, isn't it? What words are the Upanishad using? The Taittiriya Upanishad is using the words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. That is Brahman. Satyam, what is Satyam?
Truth.
Truth. What is truth?
Unchanging.
That which does not change. That which is does not mutate. Which means it is constant. And it is badharahitam. It can't be sublated. You can't change it, reverse it. It doesn't require any other proof. In itself, it is complete. You can't doubt it. You can't deny it. You can't replace it. That is truth. Satyam and Jnanam. What is Jnan? It comes from Jna, to know. So cognizability is Jnan. The right cognition, is it that Jnan? Or is it consciousness in which you cognize? What is meant here? Now I am always talking of consciousness, so you will say consciousness. But how do you know what they mean? So you must go to the commentary. You understand? See, Shankaracharya has written masterly commentaries on 10 principal Upanishads, the major Upanishads, what we say. Taittiriya falls in that. So in his masterly commentary, he will say, knowledge pertains to two things. One is to know, which is a kind of, you can say, a configuration of your intellect by which you know, or consciousness through which you know anything. And here it means consciousness. Are you getting it? See, your consciousness ever illumines every vritti in your mind. Every configuration of your intelligence is illumined by consciousness. So it is the primary knower. It is responsible for your knowledge. That's why it's called knowledge itself. Are you getting it? That which enables knowledge is knowledge, primary knowledge. So in that sense it is being used. Jnanam, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Now Anantam, even more interesting. Anta means what? End. Anant means which is endless. Infinite. Infinite about what? See, our mind, it can't conceive of something infinite just like that. Infinite what? An infinite ocean, infinite sky, I can understand something. But infinite what here? So the commentary is so beautiful here, how he explains it. He says, see, actually it means that which has no limits, which is beyond limits. So then how does Vedanta understand limits? First you should know what limits mean to understand the unlimited. What are limits? That through which, see, our mind functions through epistemic limits of space, time, causation, and what is even more interesting here, it's called Vastu Pariched. See, slowly I will explain this entire concept to you. You must grasp it to understand how logically they are defining Brahman. One of the important limits which Vedanta understands and uses many times is what is called Desha Pariched. Pariched means limit. Desha Pariched means the limitation of space. See, now I am here. Obviously, I am not in Delhi. You are here. Obviously, you are not at home. You are limited by space. In this physical space, you are existing now. Isn't it? So, you are localized in this space. You are not elsewhere. Space limits you to being here. So, space is a limit. Suppose something did not have Desha Pariched, did not have the spatial limit. What would it mean?
Omnipresent.
It is everywhere. It is not just here. It is everywhere. So it is omnipresent. So when we say Ananta, when we use, Brahman is beyond spatial limit, which means he is everywhere. That is included in this word Ananta. He is omnipresent. The nature of Brahman is omnipresence. The second limit which Vedanta understands is Kala Pariched, the limitation of time. See, you are here now. 10 days back you weren't here. So again you are limited by time. Your existence is a limitation in time. Time limits you. Time limits your presence. Time limits your thought. Time limits your actions. You are functioning in limited time. On the tombstone you can see the time period in which that particular person lived. You are limited in that time. This is our time now, these years. But after another 80 years, 100 years, it won't be your time. You as this personality will not exist. So we exist and are limited by time. Now suppose there is an entity which is not limited by time. It doesn't have this Kala Pariched. Then how would it be? It is timeless. It would be eternal. Not limited by time. So Brahman is eternal. It has no Kala Pariched also. That is why it is called eternal. See, it is unlimited, These are the limits. Because it doesn't have these limits, it is unlimited. See the definition, how they are arriving at, the nature of Brahman. Then the third limit which Vedanta understands, recognizes, is what is called Vastu Pariched. See, today you don't have this concept, although you have it in traditional philosophy, even in Western philosophy, it's called the law of identity. This table is only a table. It's nothing besides a table. Its identity is that of a table. This book is only a book. You can't call it paper or word or letter or anything like that. It's a book. Only one identity. This is called the law of identity. So every vastu also has pariched. It has limit as being only that object. It is only that object. Now suppose there was an entity which did not have vastu pariched, limitation as being one entity, one object. What would it mean?
All objects.
It is everything. It is everything. There is no second thing apart from it. Isn't it? There is no second thing apart from it. It is all. No second thing apart means what?
And it is the
It
only.
is non-dual. It is Advaitam. So the nature of Brahman is Advaitam. It is non-dual. There is nothing apart from it. Are you catching it? Once more. This is a tough point to digest. Because we don't think like this nowadays. You can understand Desha Pariched and Kala Pariched. Vastu Pariched, you don't think like this nowadays. But every object has an identity of its own. It is only that object in your perception. See, those days, book, table, and this cup, it's only a cup. So, it's a limitation according to Vedanta. Being only one thing, that vastu alone, it's a limitation. Suppose there was an entity which did not have vastu pariched. It means it is not one particular object. It is everything. So there's no second thing apart from it. Nothing apart from it itself means it is non-dual in nature. No duality, which means it is Advaitam. So the nature of Brahman is Advaita. Now, this is how he establishes Advaitavad. Shankaracharya. So Brahman is without Desha Pariched, Kala Pariched and Vastu Pariched. Only entity without this.
No name and form.
No name, no form, no limitation in space, no limitation in time, no causality, no single object, and of the nature of non-duality. So it is Advaita. He establishes Advaita this way. No limitations. See, so the word Ananta indicates all this. It signifies this entire body of knowledge. Every limit it breaks. Anything else is an object due to the limitation. So when you don't have objective limitation, nor limitations in space and time, you are everything. And you are everywhere. All pervading. And timeless, eternal. That is the nature of Brahman. Ananta means all this. So Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The nature of Brahman is truth, consciousness, and this, all of this packed together. It is unbounded, limitless reality of existence. This is Brahman. Isn't it a wonderful definition of Brahman? Tell me. Taittiriya Upanishad. That's why if you want the knowledge of existential reality, you should dive into the Upanishads. You want psychological reality, you can go to psychology. What your mind is doing, how your mind functions, what your thoughts are about, why your emotions are the way they are, you go to psychology. You want to know still the philosophy of it, you go to philosophy of mind. You want to solve problems about it, you go to psychotherapy. You want to solve serious neurotic problems about it, you go to psychiatry. You want existential reality which has nothing to do with mind, completely apart from mind, you come to Upanishad. You can't use Upanishad to solve your psychological problems. This is what many are doing, trying to do at least. Because the subject matter is consciousness, not mind. Your mind reflects that consciousness and becomes conscious. So it's a reflected consciousness that you're using in mind. But this is study of pure consciousness in itself. It is the nature of your existence. The study is about that. So one who asks existential questions comes to the Upanishad. If you are asking only psychological questions, you can go to psychologist. I want to make this clear. See, because we teach in universities, there's huge confusion. In the Western paradigm, Western psychology, they are using the word consciousness for every form of content of the human mind, which includes attention, thought, emotion, will, focus. Everything is called consciousness. So huge confusion now. In Upanishad, consciousness means pure consciousness, untouched by mind. It's a huge difference, isn't it? So this study is about that. Make it very clear to yourself. See, that is why they are inviting us to all these universities and doing all this. They want our definition of this. What exactly is the Upanishad trying to say? If you study this as content of mind, it's really tragic, I'm telling you. To whom was the Upanishad accessible to in the past? It was to the yogi mind. Only such people will dive and relate with this level of knowledge. The others will not. When you have psychological issues going in your mind, do you think this will make sense? This is what is happening. Enormous confusion is going on. To achieve clarity, you require people who have come up in this tradition. This is talking about the bare nature of human existence, not your psychological nature. They are two different things. By your very nature, you are only aware. Awareness is your primary nature. Through a confused thought process, you tend to identify with a body and a world of objects. Then psychological reality kicks in and you live in the psychological plane of thought. But your nature is not psychological. Your primary nature is existential. So unless you come to this, Upanishads will not. That's why for most people, Upanishads, it's okay. Some antique language and literature doesn't make sense to them. Because they are living in the psychological plane of existence. This is far beyond that.
My intrinsic nature is
awareness, not thought. If you arrive at this much by yourself, not because somebody says it, then you will see this is the most important piece of literature on the planet. I told you I am not saying this. Schopenhauer said this. And all of us, of course, agree with it. This is the most important piece of literature on the planet for the simple reason it is talking about you as you are before your thought mechanism kicks in and creates the confusion for you. Before your identities kick in. Before all that happens, this is what you are. It's about that. So if you have to dive into it and understand it, you must have a really clear mind. You'll understand only through mind. That mind should be able to reflect this consciousness. Otherwise, this will not make sense. It's not about ideation, meditation, philosophy, thought. Are you getting what I'm saying? That is why meditation is the means to this. Not even charsha. Give it its place. Shravan is the first step. Manan is the next step. Nididhyasana is the step. Got it? Put it down in your own way. I think time is up. I'll end the class here and you can put it down. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.